coming into sharp focus with the pending closure of the landfill next year.
We're kind of unintentional activists because we started this project purely for ourselves. I mean, we were doing it within our own household. We didn't even really share it with a lot of people to begin with. And it wasn't until, we were 6 months in and I had been writing on a blog about it that other people started to be interested and ask us to come and talk to their company or talk to their friends about this, about garbage. First of all, I want to thank everybody who is here for coming out on a Monday night to watch a movie about garbage.
Give yourselves a hand for watching a movie about this.
Well, garbage, there's so many environmental problems and we were feeling overwhelmed. So you hear about things, okay, you're supposed to eat locally and you shouldn't fly, and look how much waste we're throwing out, look at the amount of things we buy, where they come from, and it became so overwhelming that we wanted to focus on something and take on a project that was tangible and something we could measure. So we chose our waste output.
I mean, the thing about garbage is that everybody comes in touch with it every day, and it's easy to tell if you're doing a good job at reduction because it's right there in front of you.
For 1 year, we will not produce any waste, and as part of that project, we won't buy any stuff.
It had to be a competition.
The person who has the least amount of garbage and who didn't buy anything wins.
Say, these are pretty slick.
You noticed that, eh?
Sure did.
I just don't want to have the plastic packaging. I want to get it in my container.
Can I get it on a plate with no toothpicks? No toothpicks? I didn't want the toothpicks.
Sometimes I do wonder because we're trying not to produce garbage, but then the person next to you in line is just getting their stuff double bagged anyway, and I just wonder if there's even any point in us doing this project.
Well, the timeline is we started the Zero Waste Project Canada Day 2008, and we did it for a year, and then we made a movie for a year, so that was post-production on the movie, and then we biked across Canada and shared our film with people, and that was 3.5 months on the road. The way that we switched from just thinking about sustainability to actually acting on it was that we decided to make it fun, and we decided to have a competition. So we actually set out parameters, and we had specific dates and we had specific rules, and that made it fun for us.
I think like a person's motivation to take action doesn't come from one event. I think it's a cumulative effect. We learn things like, for example, myself, when I think about local food systems, and I've heard that from probably half a dozen movies and a few individuals before I actually start changing my behavior. So there's no one thing that will kick you over, but there will be a final thing that is the tipping point.
Yeah.
Hopefully people will come. No. Yeah. We know some people will
We're
be
good. We pre-sold tickets online, so we know there's people coming.
Unless like, oh, it's raining. I don't.
Yeah.
We funded the film completely ourselves. It was not so much the funding, but it was our time. So Jen and I both worked during the year filming, and then after the year ended, I took a bunch of time off work to cut the movie. Jen was doing 12-hour days for a couple of years for sure.
Is that it?
Years ago, I started hearing something referenced, described as a floating island of garbage, twice the size of Texas.
This is what the ocean water looks like. The competition between the plastic and the natural food is greater. Trash outweighed the plankton by a factor of 6 to 1.
This piece is 1 million plastic cups, which is the number consumed just on airline flights in the United States every 6 hours. If we could see this stuff, behold it with our senses, we might feel something. And when we feel something, that's when we act.
Around here in the woods, you find lucky cans. When one of our sort of motivations was when we were cycling down the Pacific coast and we started seeing things in the ditch. Bush light is all through Washington. I mean, if you went there with a garbage bag picking up cans, you could retire. You can't blame people for not thinking about these things, because I never thought about these things a few years ago. It's like the curse of knowledge, they call it, where it's a tipping point where you're like, okay, I said tipping point too much.
But as soon as you know about something, like now that we've said be aware of plastic utensils, next time you see a plastic utensil, you will see that it is garbage before you even use it. This is also made out of post-consumer polyester. And
we found that with this project, if we just did it in our house and we didn't share it, then it wouldn't have any effect. The fact that we produce a little garbage, what does that really matter in the end, you know? But if we can inspire the majority to reduce a little bit and not expect zero waste like what we did, that would actually have an effect, I think.
Yeah, I mean, our message isn't that everybody has to live zero waste, because that's pretty extreme, but it is that wherever you are, whether you produce like a whole garbage can every week or whether you just produce a little bag, you can always do one more thing. We can always improve a little bit more.
If we went back a few years, say 25 years, I like to use the analogy of that everyone would be smoking, probably. We're probably having a smoke right now during this interview, whereas that's socially not acceptable now, and I think at some point we'll see that with waste. We'll look at waste as like, what a silly thing that we did back then, and we'll kind of laugh at it when we see old news footage or something of landfills. We'll be like, look at that, it was crazy.
Jen has become so passionate about this project. She's researched how to make laundry detergent. She's made toothpaste from scratch.
How's it taste?
Not very good.
We were editing a scene where Jen is working in the garden, and I'm sort of talking about how much work she did during the year, because it was really true. She grew a garden and made all these things, and we wanted a piece of music in there that really lended itself to that scene. And there's a song called A Little Bit of Love. I don't know what John and Roy were thinking when they wrote those lyrics, but that's what I took from it.
Walking up into a mountain where we fall asleep, holding on to a little bit of love, waking in sunshine, cold air, feeling fine, high, lost my mind, holding on to a little bit of love. Surprise, you're on a new rise, high, I'm the same size, holding on to a little bit of love. Your smile's getting bigger, I'm still trying to figure how if I should keep holding on to a little bit of love. Time is gone, how moving along, singing this song, holding on to a little bit of love. Fall leaves falling down, back to another rough year on the ground. I'm airplane bound, holding on to a little bit of love.
Humor made the whole lightened it up for me. Otherwise, I was feeling like there were moments of despair where I felt a little sick to my stomach about the whole experience that we've created in the last 50 years.
When I saw it in Vancouver, and I had a 1 liter plastic bottle that I bought because it was I was thirsty, and then I watched the movie with this bottle I was meant to throw away, and the whole movie I was trying to hide it. And after the movie, I had to put it in my jacket because it was just a water bottle. But watching the movie meant so much because, I mean,
I thought it was great. We're actually doing something quite similar. We've reduced most of our garbage, and we're a household of 6, and we have this much garbage. And but we were living in Montreal for a while, and it was impossible. They looked at us like we were crazy if we wanted to have things on a ceramic plate. So it's nice moving back here. It's much easier to recycle and reduce waste here.
So there are 30 screenings added on to finding directions on a bicycle across Canada. There was a lot of tension on the relationship. We had some pretty major fights, but the fact that we're still sitting together right now is a pretty good sign, and I think it's a pretty good test.
It's a huge storm!
It's funny you ask about what he was like when he lived in Nanaimo.
Okay.
Look at all this garbage. Oh, you got chocolate? Don't have any shots of that plastic bag in the background here. We got busted. We got
more plastic.
this one's biodegradable though. Look at that. Compostable bag. 100% compost. And beer bottles are recyclable. True.